Hey, folks, welcome back to the Carl Zahn Show, episode 13, epic episode. And please share, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Feel free to comment. I'm doing the best I can to reply to people's comments, positive, negative, or otherwise. So we have a big week here, so we're just going to roll right through the show. There's so much stuff going on that it's hard to keep up with. I could probably just do 24 hours here and not even get through it all. So first and foremost, among all these different things, obviously Joe Biden channeled Clint Eastwood earlier in the week and challenged Donald Trump to a debate. And he said, come on, man, make my day. To which Trump should reply, are you feeling lucky, punk? So I don't know. It's the old Biden tough guy thing. He's been doing that for years. At the same time, he's so tough that they're refusing to release the audio from the Robert Hur testimony about Biden's classified documents, where basically what Robert Hur said was he was too incompetent to bring charges and stand trial. So kind of weird on one hand. You got this new kind of Clint Eastwood, Joe Biden character challenging Donald Trump to a debate, to which Trump, of course, automatically replied anytime, any date. I think the one is June 27th and another one in September. I will eat an ant live on this program if that debate ever happens. So my money is they're not ever going to let Joe Biden on a stage with Donald Trump, regardless of the conditions. And Joe Biden named all these conditions for the debate. So it has to be CNN anchor Jake Tapper and whoever that other nitwit is, Aaron Burnett, I think maybe, no audience. And then late yesterday, they came out with these additional conditions. Biden wants a row of Mike Lindell's pillows circling his podium. I suppose that's in case he falls over. He also is demanding that Donald Trump shave his eyebrows. I'm not sure what that's all about. And then just again this morning, a third condition that he'll only debate if Trump rides a unicycle for the entire hour and a half. So I would expect more conditions to be coming along because they seem to be having a pretty good time with this. But I mean, should that ever happen, it will certainly be interesting. But my money is on it never happens. They can't let Biden on a stage with Donald Trump, or for that matter, anybody with no teleprompter. So unless he's got an earpiece and a live feed to like a translator, I don't see it happening. And this stupid little 13-second challenge that he put out to Donald Trump to debate, I heard that it took like 15 takes to do it. And if you watch the video, it's like one little sentence. They're all stitched together. So it's like the video equivalent of a hostage letter where they cut the little single letters out of a newspaper and glue them to a piece of paper. It's the video equivalent of that. It's so disjointed that it's just beyond belief. And then at the end of it, he says, I hear you're free on Wednesdays. So this is Biden, the uniter, who's going to unite the country and make us all love each other, sticking a huge back. I mean, he doesn't understand. It's not just Donald Trump. And yeah, we get it. We hear you're free on Wednesdays. We all know that all this court, judicial stuff, all these charges against Donald Trump are coming down from the Biden administration. They are all coming from the White House. Fannie Willis from Georgia had, several dozen meetings, I guess, at the White House with her boyfriend/prosecutor. So pretty odious comment by Joe Biden to say, we hear that you're free on Wednesdays. Unfortunately for Joe Biden, after this week, and they're expecting this ridiculous Stormy Daniels trial to wrap up sometime this week. After this week, Donald Trump is not only going to be free on Wednesdays, he's going to be free Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the rest of the campaign year. So my advice to Joe Biden and his Kool-Aid drinking acolytes is enjoy your last few months in the sun, because something is about to happen here. Trump is planning I understand, an event rally in the South Bronx later this week. And again, this is Donald Trump, not, as I said years ago, not only not afraid of the third rail in politics, he's willing to jump right down and dry hump the third rail. And this thing in the Bronx is a good example of that. It's a huge risk for him. I'm sure he's aware of that. That could go horribly wrong with a low turnout, or just a number of ways that could go wrong. But he's confident that he's bringing around the African-American vote. And I think it's super smart. It's been a long time since Republicans have gone to New York, any of these, kind of blue states that just generally get written off. And Trump, having just attracted somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people to Wildwood, New Jersey, this last rally, which was just phenomenal. You can't dismiss that, no matter where you are in a political spectrum, or, if you do dismiss it, certainly at your own peril. To draw that kind of a crowd on short notice is pretty spectacular. So it's Wildwood, it's Deadwood, and it's off to the South Bronx hood later this week. There's a great line quickly and I think there's a biblical reference to this somewhere about what they call speaking in thunder. But one of my favorite applications of that theme was in the what I thought was a fantastic series, HBO series, many years ago called Deadwood, and spectacular acting, casting, production. And it's about Deadwood, South Dakota, which was a real town in the gold rush, not yet annexed to the United States, and therefore a completely lawless town. Gold rush bandits, road agents, every spectrum of society. And one of the scenes in there is Wild Bill Hickok, who was played brilliantly by Keith Carradine, is taken to a rich widow now, but her and her husband came to Deadwood, rich people from New York. He bought a claim from a local saloon owner, and then he was convinced that the claim was no good and that he'd get bamboozled and he wanted his money back. In the interim, they discovered that this claim he bought was rich with gold, was just a huge, huge find. And now the guy wants to get back in the deal, and he falls to a suspicious death from a cliff. So Wild Bill Hickok goes to talk to the widow, and it's a great scene. And in it, so he's trying to urge her to, get her money for the claim, cut her losses, and leave because it's unsafe for her at this place. And in that scene, he talks to her, and he says, "Ma'am, do you know the sound of thunder?" And she says, "Yes, I know the sound of thunder." And he says, "I'm going to speak to you in thunder, and I want you to imagine that sound while I speak." He said, "I think you should leave Deadwood to, not have a dire result in her staying here." So I would say that to the far left Democratic woke loons, listen to the thunder, because I can hear it. Wildwood, New Jersey, and like I said, if this event in the South Bronx goes off this week as any kind of success at all, and I think it will, because let's be honest, most people, regardless of your skin color, your place in society, any of that, and logical, common sense people know this, we all want the same thing. We want safety for our children. We want safe neighborhoods. We want promise for our own future and our children's future, financially and culturally. So this notion that the inner city blacks don't want law and order or some of the things that Trump has to offer, I think is a really bad read. And I think we're about to find that out in real time. So that will be interesting. So listen to the thunder, because it is on the horizon. Also this week, obviously, everyone's heard about this big catfight in Congress between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine Crockett. So this started out with Marjorie Taylor Greene making fun of Jasmine Crockett's fake eyelashes, which, out of line, I think. And then Jasmine Crockett steps in. And then AOC, of course, steps in. And the whole thing almost instantly devolves into this screaming catfight with AOC telling Marjorie Greene something like, "Oh, baby girl, you don't want to play it up." AOC has this thing, I don't know if you'd noticed, but if she gets kind of, an adrenaline rush, she kind of goes to this default Hispanic kind of hip hop thing. She did it last year at some event where she was getting booed and heckled in the audience, and all of a sudden she goes into this street hipster thing. It was very strange. I liked a lot about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think especially at the beginning, she seems to have strong convictions and a backbone. But the honeymoon is kind of over for me because I think she's part of this little gang of six there, Matt Gaetz and a few others that trying to oust the speaker and always trying to, you could say they are far right. And there's just no place for that right now. I think what's most important for the Republican Party, of which I'm not a member, by the way, but I am admittedly conservative. I think the important thing for our side right now is to have cohesiveness. And Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be like kind of ongoing thorn in that effort. And, if you're making fun of someone's physical appearances, and I do that here on this show because it's fun and I'm a comedian, but I'm not a member of Congress. And, it's not excusing it, but it is a different platform. But when I see Marjorie Taylor Greene or other politicians trying to do that kind of thing, it seems to me like they're trying to mimic Trump. And lots of people are learning the hard way that only Trump can do Trump. I don't know what it is, what the magic is, what that essence is, but it doesn't work for anybody else. It just doesn't. And I would argue that a lot of times it doesn't work for him either. I think he could probably do himself a favor and, back off of that a little bit. So much interesting stuff going on. And I say interesting when what I probably really mean is frustrating for people like me. But I got a kick out of the Joe Biden tough guy thing. It's the old, I went after popcorn or Pop-Tart or corn pop or whatever his name with a chain. And Joe Biden, I'm quite sure, is a guy who's never been in a fist fight. And, I've made no secret on this show about my disdain for him as a person. And it goes back 40 years because I just think he's a shallow, vacuous, vapid man. I really do. He's never earned a paycheck in the private sector that I'm aware of. So every paycheck he's gotten for his entire adult life has been from, the taxpayer, off the taxpayer's back. And I just don't see that he has done that much or given that much back or produced that much to warrant, his station in life and 40 years on the public dole. Also pretty sure that he didn't donate his $400,000 a year for being president as Donald Trump did. Donald Trump promised he would do that, and he did do that. He donated his paycheck for being president, and he's also one of the few presidents that didn't get rich off of being president, but quite to the contrary, has almost bankrupted himself. So there's that. And then this latest brouhaha, also very interesting, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm sure you have heard about this, gave a commencement speech at the Benedictine College Catholic school, and he spoke about the value of traditional male masculinity and traditional relationships and marriage and the importance of women who have children who are able to stay home and raise the kids and do all that. And he just underscored the value of all that, more traditional unions and traditional lifestyles. And of course, the Christian, ties to that. But it was a very, very good speech. It wasn't hostile. And he encouraged young men to be men and to have testosterone and to not be afraid to be masculine. That's what works. And the backlash from every corner you can imagine, and the NFL itself, by the way, has all been so negative, and like people's hair is just on fire over this. And, you know, you just kind of wonder if you step back and you look at, okay, you don't have to agree with him, but I mean, is it that controversial? Is it that epic a statement that people have to come completely unwound over it? I mean, people like myself and Harrison Butker and, you know, tens of millions of other people have kind of quietly accepted everything that's gone on in the last 10 or 20 years, and maybe getting a little less accepting of it now as it reaches new levels of transgender men competing in women's sports, and there's 400 different genders, and your fifth grade elementary school teacher should be able to talk to your child about sex and sexuality, and, you know, a lot of stuff that I vehemently disagree with. But no one's hair is on, you know, like my hair's not on fire over it, and I'm not posting all this nasty stuff. So it's just kind of odd to me that a guy like that, who's a accomplished athlete, good guy, good husband, good father, comes out and makes a commencement speech at a Catholic school, basically encouraging and supporting those values. And I mean, you would think that he had just called for mass genocide. It's really stunning where we are. And I go back to listen to the thunder. You know, there's something coming here, and I'm not trying to be a forecaster of doom or anything like that, but it just does seem like there's something coming here. And I do believe that something big will happen between now and November. I have no idea what that will be, but I just feel like the cosmic energy is aligning for a, you know, less than optimum event to happen. And I don't know what that will be. Not sure if Biden goes the distance on this. Like I said, I don't believe that he will debate Trump. And I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, like I said, I'll eat an ant live here on the show. I may even eat a couple of bugs. I'm pretty confident they're not going to let this happen, because regardless of the conditions, I just don't see it happening. So much going on. And then back to the Congress catfight. The other element of this is we have like through the looking glass into kind of the diminutive people that are representing us, and maybe not that bright. And what also was demonstrated to me during that event is the very, very thin line, like one untoward comment, and everyone just comes undone. I mean, if you watch the clips of this, they're trying to get control of the House, and it's turning into like this full-blown catfight. And it just goes to show you that everybody seems like just a tumbler click away from snapping like a dry twig here. It doesn't feel good. And of course, the anticipated downside of that whole catfight is that late last night, Congress appropriated $5 billion now for Meow Mix and kitty litter. So we're going to have now full Meow Mix kitty litter stations all over the halls of Congress. It's kind of like the furry thing without the costumes. But and who knows? I mean, it's early in the day, so I wouldn't rule out the furry costumes in Congress. I'm sure that's next. We'll have to save that for another show, this whole, the furry people. God help us. My son, Mitch, showed me this great meme this morning that I had to bring up, and you'll have to find it. And this is, again, like Trump. You could go either way with Trump, and I still do after all these years. I've been an avid supporter since 2015. I've never wavered. But to this day, there are things he does and says that I'm still kind of, I don't know if I love that or hate it. But this one I loved. So Trump put out this meme of the Tom Petty song, Free Fallin'. And it's, of course, a meme with Joe Biden, and stitched together all the different videos of Joe Biden falling, and it's sung by someone who sounds exactly like Tom Petty, and of course the rest of the lyrics are all rearranged to be pretty funny. I would say it is hysterical. So Trump's meme, Free Fallen, if you can find that on the internet or somewhere, check it out. It is hysterical. And this is kind of what I love about Trump. I mean, it's good-natured. And, I mean, let's be honest, there is all this footage. There's Biden falling on the stairs in and out of the airplane, like constantly. There's the famous tip over on the bike where he forgot to take his feet off the pedals and put them on the ground because, well, gravity. And then falling on the stage after the big speech and all that. So this Trump meme is freaking hysterical. I love it. So for people who are always wondering, or folks like you out there always wondering why, not just, I say people like me, I don't know that it's people like me, but kind of common sense, and I don't even would say conservatives, but just common sense people in general, why we were always so constantly frustrated by the government. And this is both parties, Republican, Democrat, federal government, state government, all of it, because there is never any common sense, and they spend money like, drunken sailors, with due respect to drunken sailors. It's not even an analogy that holds up anymore, because even drunken sailors don't spend money like these people do. And evidence of that, further evidence of that, California is now spending taxpayer dollars giving free alcohol to homeless people with an alcohol problem. So they've spent $5 million so far. This is true. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is true. So $5 million so far. $5 million a year program to give free alcohol to the homeless, quote unquote, isn't working. Big surprise. So what they're doing is they're providing free alcohol, vodka, shots at certain times of days in certain locations. And again, so think about how cruel this is. Like, if you had a friend who was suicidal, you wouldn't hand them a loaded handgun. And if someone is suffering from alcoholism and drug addiction, you don't buy them alcohol or drugs, because it's the easy, I can't even call it the easy fix, because it's not a fix. It's just a total acquiescence to, we don't want to do the hard work to actually fix this. And this is what drives me crazy about these government programs. They're all so painfully stupid. So here's a program like this, $5 million, and I'll bet you it's been a lot more than that, for this ridiculous program to give alcohol to alcoholics who are living on the street, making life miserable for everybody else at the meantime. And if you look at the amount of money that they spend, you have to wonder, or I do, couldn't we take a more serious approach and a more humane or Christian approach to say, let's get these people help. They are human beings after all, and let's see if we can get these people sober, and let's see if we can get these people into a happier life and a productive life. Let's see if we can help these people beat their addiction. But the government response is always free needles, here's a safe place to shoot up, and now in San Francisco, free alcohol. And of course, it's not free. We pay for it. It's free to them. It's not free to any of the rest of us. So, for people who wonder, again, why people like me get so frustrated and just borderline furious about the painfully stupid solutions that these bureaucrats come up with, well, this is why. It's painfully stupid, and it's expensive. And you wouldn't do that to your best friend or your own child or anybody that you knew had a drinking problem. So not only is it predictably ineffective, it's quite cruel in a really almost satanic way. I mean, it is cruel. I mean, imagine you have a child for whatever reason you couldn't save and is homeless and living on the street, and then you find out that the government is paying to give them alcohol. And of course, California might not be fair because they are like the height of the new normal, to quote Barack Obama from many years ago. Little did we know then what the new normal was going to turn into. And if you're anything like me, I kind of miss the old normal. But they also have these various interagencies in California, different agencies to deal with the homeless crisis in different ways. And not surprisingly, and to give you some idea, Newsom has spent, since he's been governor, $24 billion so far. A single homeless person costs the taxpayers upwards of $50,000 a year, and I'll bet that's a conservative number. And to top it all up, this $24 billion, California also admits that they don't track their homeless dollars or have any idea which, if any, programs are effective. And the California Interagency Council on Homelessness has analyzed no data since 2021. So they're just throwing billions of taxpayer dollars at this while people flee their state. And now they don't even track to see if it's effective, if it's working. And I forget the woman's name, and I should have had it. I apologize, but there's some woman that's one of the high up, that heads one of these agencies and making upwards of $600,000 a year, heading up the interagency on homelessness in California. So she's making upwards of $600,000 a year. They've spent $24 billion so far. They have no idea if it's effective or if it's working or not. And meanwhile, they're also spending all this money to convert hotels and other places into housing for homeless people. And they're saying that the housing costs are right around $112,000 a year per homeless person. So add that to the $50,000 a year I mentioned earlier. Now we're up to just under $200,000 a year per homeless person. And you're telling me we can't get these people into rehab for that? For $200,000 a year each? Can't get them into a treatment center? We don't want to. We don't want to do the hard work of really tackling these problems and admittedly the sacrifice that comes along with doing that. And, pretty sad, pretty desperate, and also very frustrating, as I said. It's just watching all this stuff happen, and they do it over and over and over again, and always expecting a different result, which is the very definition of insanity. A couple of weeks ago, and don't ask me why, because I'm no fashion maven. You have probably figured that out, but for some reason, ever since the pre-pea stained Levi's that we debuted on the show here a couple of weeks ago by some big fashion agency, and they're sold out. You can't even get them now. They're back ordered. So I guess if you want the pea stained jeans, you're going to have to buy a pair of jeans and do your own stain until these become available again. But in keeping with the demise of culture and intellect in the culture, the newest fashion rage now is pre-scuffed sneakers. So I guess a lot of the kids were getting kind of into despair when their brand new sneakers stopped looking brand new, which happens pretty quickly with sneakers. And so to avoid the despair and depression that comes along with your sneakers not looking brand new anymore after day 3, now you can buy pre-scuffed sneakers. So new sneakers that look dirty. Here's a model, true story. I don't know how well you can see that, but like I said, we're technologically redundant here, so we're still holding up pictures. Here's a sneaker that comes actually duct taped, and $565 for the pair. So pre-scuffed sneakers, all ranging anywhere from $300 to $500 to $600 to $700. for what's essentially used sneakers. And again, just like I lamented years and years of throwing out my worn Levi's, not knowing that they were selling for 10 grand a pair, now I wish I had all the pairs of dirty sneakers I've thrown away over the years. Don't look to me for your investment tips. Breaking news from Hollywood. Actors Freya Allen and Owen Teague, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, stars of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think this is a kind of a remake of Planet of the Apes. It's coming out soon if it's not out already. And Freya Allen, the lead actress in that, said that she's basically so disgusted with the human race that she wishes she could go and actually live with apes now. And says, I'm against humanity, and I am fully on Team Ape. And all I can say is, Freya, don't forget to bring a lot of bananas. We wish you all the luck in the world. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. It's funny because I suspect that the reason you want to go live with the silverback gorillas is because of Trump supporters and MAGA supporters. I bet I'm warm. And to tell you the truth, I kind of share your sentiment that I'm beginning to favor monkeys over humans myself. But oddly enough, it's people like you that are making me want to live with monkeys. So you can see the developing problem here. And by the way, I always love the notion of these people that are going to leave the country if Trump wins, or in Freya Allen's case, she's going to go live with go live gorillas in the mist in real life. Expect to be disappointed with that experience, because the monkeys you are working with are actually people in costumes. So there might be a little bit of an awakening for you as you go and begin to cohabitate with silverback gorillas in the wild. They're not real into the transgender woke thing, pretty sure. Last but not least, check out this guy. I just happened to fall upon this last week. Don't know anything about this guy. His name is Winston Marshall. I guess he used to play with a band called the Thumpers or something like that in Britain. I'm sure my producer knows. And he was at something at a college in Britain last week where the horrid Pixar creation Nancy Pelosi was speaking. And Pelosi was doing one of her usual rambling rants with her little claw hands and talking about etho-nationalism. She mentioned that about five times. So watch for etho-nationalist to become part of the lexicon now. Think basket of deplorables with a little bit more highbrow label. The etho-nationalists and the etho-nationals are the threat to democracy. And this guy, Winston Marshall, check this out on YouTube. This guy gave her a dressing down that left me feeling euphoric for like 12 hours. I thought I had accidentally eaten mushrooms. And I don't have time here with the show now to go through it verbatim, though I had planned to do it. But what a beautiful, articulate, dispassionate dressing down he gave her about what the real threats to democracy are, which of course is people like her, the weaponization of the judicial system, the uber elite as they fly off to Davos in their private jets and mandate shots and vaccines for the rest of us. He went right down the list and drew great applause. And she kept trying to interject in like off mic. So as he's giving his speech, you hear little Nancy Pelosi squeak from the corner. One of the things he pointed out was during the George Floyd riots, the month-long attack on a police station or court. I think it was in Seattle, but don't quote me. But he said to her, I'm sure you agree that that was a dark day in America, just as January 6th was. And she twerps in from the background that it's not the same. It's not the same. It was one of the most eloquent, beautiful taking down of Nancy Pelosi that I've seen in a long time. Coherent, lucid, on point. Winston Marshall, check him out. And dude, good on you We need more of this. Hopefully, we said on the show before, courage is courageous, we hope. And hopefully we see more of that, because we have to fight back with common sense against these people. I don't even know why Nancy Pelosi's still around. She's like a bad wart that won't go away. She's not speaker anymore. But these people, the greatest fear these people have is becoming irrelevant. So she's still out there. She's still in Washington all the time. She's still on all the talk shows. And then she was at this dopey symposium where this guy just took her apart limb by limb. It was like the night in Monty Python with no arms and no legs. And she's still insisting that the fight's not over. But let me tell you, this guy Winston Marshall dismembered her figuratively, and the fight was over long before she realized it. Thanks for joining the show. Come back next week for episode 14. I'm Carl Zahn. It's the Carl Zahn Show, and keep the blue side up.